Sometimes life breaks us in places no one can see. But those cracks are not the end of our story. They are the openings through which new light, new hope, and new love can eventually enter. When you've lost someone, whether through heartbreak, separation, or the slow fading of connection, you carry a weight that changes the way you trust, the way you feel, and the way you step into new relationships. And yet, somewhere beneath that heaviness, there is a part of you that still wants to try again. Finding love after loss is not about forgetting what happened, it's about remembering who you are. When a man and a woman meet after they've both been through something, they carry with them a new kind of honesty. The kind that says, "I've been hurt, but I'm here." And that simple truth becomes the foundation of a new, powerful connection. Because real love starts where the masks fall off. It begins in the moment you allow someone to see the parts of you you've been protecting the most. Friendship becomes the bridge. It's the gentle laughter after days of silence. It's the shared moments that make you feel safe again. It's the presence of someone who doesn't rush your healing, who doesn't demand your perfection, who simply shows up again and again. Love doesn't always arrive with sparks. Sometimes it comes quietly as consistency, as someone choosing you in small ways long before the big ones, as companionship that brings back the feeling of being understood, valued, and seen. And that feeling, being seen, is what revives the heart after loss. When two people decide to build something real, they don't rely on the past to teach them fear. They use it to teach them clarity. They learn to communicate better, to listen deeper, and to cherish the moments they once took for granted. Love becomes a daily choice, not a dramatic event. A commitment made in the ordinary spaces of life. In the conversations, the check-ins, the reassurances, the willingness to stay. And slowly hope returns, confidence returns, the desire to love and be loved returns. Finding love after loss is not about replacing someone. It's about rediscovering yourself through someone who treats your heart with care. It's about letting the right person show you that your story didn't end with the pain. It simply paused there, waiting for the chapter where you rise again. So if you're listening to this today, wondering whether love can find you again, let me tell you something with all the certainty I have: your heart is still capable. Your story is still unfolding. And the love you're meant for will not be scared of the places you've healed from. It will meet you where you are. It will grow with you. And it will remind you why you never gave up. Because love after loss isn't just possible. It's often the most beautiful love of all. Healing opens the door to new love, not because it erases the past, but because it transforms the way you see yourself and the world around you. When you go through loss, heartbreak, or the slow unraveling of a relationship you once believed in, something inside you shifts. You begin to question your worth, your choices, and your ability to feel deeply again. Healing is not about pretending the pain never existed. It is about learning to breathe through it, learning to walk with it, until one day you realize it no longer weighs you down in the same way. It becomes a part of you, but it no longer controls you. It no longer dictates how you love, how you trust, or how you show up for the relationships you want to build. Healing teaches you patience. It allows you to move at a pace that feels right for your heart rather than reacting to pressure, expectations, or fear. As you heal, you begin to understand the value of emotional clarity. You become more honest with yourself, more aware of your needs, and less willing to settle for the kind of connections that drain your spirit. This clarity prepares you for a new kind of love, one that emerges not from desperation or loneliness, but from a place of wholeness. You learn to value your inner peace enough to protect it. You learn to choose someone not because you need them to fill a void, but because you genuinely want to share your journey with them. Healing softens you in ways that pain once hardened. You gain empathy for others who have struggled, and this empathy deepens your ability to connect. You stop seeing vulnerability as a risk and begin to view it as a gateway to intimacy. When you have done the inner work, you no longer fear opening your heart. Instead, you recognize that vulnerability is the bridge that allows two people to truly meet, understand, and support one another. It becomes easier to let someone in because you trust your own strength to handle the outcomes, whatever they may be. The healing process also strengthens your boundaries. You recognize what respect feels like, what genuine interest looks like, and what emotional safety should be. This awareness helps you choose partners who honor your emotional world, not disrupt it. When new love arrives, you are more capable of nurturing it because you have learned how to nurture yourself first. You don't cling out of fear, you hold on out of appreciation. You communicate openly, listen deeply, and give love without losing yourself in the process. Most importantly, healing restores hope. It reminds you that the heart is resilient, that you are capable of joy again, and that the future still holds beautiful possibilities. Love that enters after healing is different. It is steadier, kinder, more intentional. It comes from a place that has been tested, strengthened, and renewed. It feels like a second chance, not to rewrite the past, but to create a future that aligns with your growth. Healing does not just open the door to new love. It prepares you to walk through that door with courage, clarity, and a heart ready to embrace the love you truly deserve. Pain reshapes, it doesn't destroy, even though in the moment it can feel like everything inside you is breaking apart. When love ends or someone you once trusted walks away, the first feeling that rises is often fear. Fear that you will never feel whole again. Fear that you will never love with the same depth. Fear that something essential within you has been permanently damaged. But the truth is that pain, no matter how sharp or overwhelming, has the remarkable ability to bend us without breaking us. It forces us to face parts of ourselves we might have ignored. It pushes us to grow in ways we never expected, and it slowly reveals strengths we didn't realize we were carrying. Pain alters your perspective. It changes the way you look at relationships, not by shutting you down, but by opening your eyes. You begin to notice the small moments you once overlooked. You become more aware of what real effort looks like, what loyalty feels like, and what emotional safety truly means. Pain teaches you to stop romanticizing mixed signals or inconsistency. It sharpens your intuition and helps you spot unhealthy patterns long before they take root again. This shift in awareness doesn't destroy your ability to love, it refines it. Pain reshapes your character in quiet, powerful ways. It teaches resilience, not in the dramatic sense of bouncing back instantly, but in the slow, steady process of choosing to stand up again each time you fall. You learn to carry yourself differently. You learn to trust yourself more. You realize that your worth doesn't depend on who stays, who leaves, or who fails to recognize your value. The heartbreak that once felt like the end becomes the beginning of a new level of emotional maturity. And that maturity becomes the foundation of future love, stronger than anything you've known before. Pain deepens your capacity for empathy. Once you have been hurt, you understand the weight of someone else's hurt. You become more patient, more gentle, more understanding. You stop judging people for their scars because you now recognize your own. This empathy creates a connection in future relationships that feels more genuine and grounded. It helps you communicate with honesty and listen with intention. Pain doesn't close your heart. It teaches your heart how to love with greater compassion. Pain also strengthens your boundaries. It shows you what you will no longer accept. It reminds you that self-respect is not optional, and neither is emotional balance. You learn to protect your energy without shutting yourself off from the world. You learn the difference between guarding your heart and building walls so high that no one can reach you. Pain reshapes those boundaries until they reflect your needs, your values, and your growth. Most of all, pain reminds you that transformation is possible. The parts of you that feel shattered eventually become the parts that shine with the most strength. You don't lose yourself in the process. You rediscover yourself. The person you become after pain is wiser, more intentional, and more prepared to receive the love you deserve. Pain doesn't destroy you. It rebuilds you into someone capable of deeper connection, healthier choices, and a more resilient heart. Vulnerability creates connection because it allows two people to meet each other without masks, without roles, and without the need to appear perfect. When you open up about your fears, your hopes, your insecurities, and your desires, you give someone access to the most authentic parts of you. This honesty becomes the foundation on which trust is built. It creates a space where both people can breathe without worrying about being judged or misunderstood. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to let someone see the truth of who you are, even when you fear they might walk away. In relationships, vulnerability is what softens the emotional walls that people develop after disappointment or heartbreak. When a man and a woman are able to share what they truly feel, without pretending or performing, the relationship shifts from surface level interaction to genuine intimacy. You start to understand each other's emotional language, not just the words spoken, but the feelings behind them. This understanding is what creates a bond that feels safe, meaningful, and real. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you send a signal that you are open to connection, not hiding from it. Vulnerability also creates emotional clarity. When you express what you really need, whether it's reassurance, attention, commitment, or space, you make it easier for your partner to respond with intention. You remove the guessing and assumptions that often lead to conflict. Instead, you build a relationship based on direct communication and mutual respect. Being vulnerable doesn't mean pouring out every emotion without thinking. It means expressing yourself honestly and calmly, trusting that you deserve to be heard. This trust becomes a powerful bridge that strengthens the connection over time. In moments of vulnerability, you discover the deeper layers of companionship. You witness each other's struggles, dreams, and past wounds, and this creates empathy. You stop seeing each other as just partners and begin to see each other as human beings fighting their own silent battles. This shared understanding becomes a source of comfort. When you know that someone sees your flaws and still chooses you, your confidence grows. When you see someone else open up to you, your care for them deepens. Vulnerability makes room for emotional intimacy, the kind that lasts. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable also reduces emotional distance. Many relationships fail not because people stop loving, but because they stop sharing. They start hiding their fears, avoiding important conversations, or pretending everything is fine. This emotional silence creates gaps where insecurity grows. Vulnerability fills those gaps with truth. It brings two people closer by reminding them that they are on the same team, not fighting against each other, but working together to build something meaningful. Most importantly, vulnerability invites reciprocation. When you open your heart, you give the other person permission to do the same. This mutual openness creates a cycle of trust, honesty, and emotional safety. It strengthens the relationship not just in good moments, but in difficult ones. It gives both partners the confidence that they can face challenges together because they understand each other at a deeper level. Vulnerability creates connection because it turns love from something fragile into something resilient. It removes the distance between hearts and replaces it with truth, trust, and emotional closeness. Through vulnerability, relationships stop being performances and become authentic, supportive, and profoundly intimate. Friendship grows into partnership when two people allow their connection to develop naturally, without forcing outcomes or rushing emotions. Friendship begins with ease, with the simple comfort of being yourself around someone who understands your humor, listens to your thoughts, and shares pieces of their own world with you. Over time, this ease forms a foundation stronger than attraction alone. It becomes the quiet space where trust builds, where two people learn each other's rhythms, and where emotional safety takes root. As friendship deepens, you start to recognize how rare it is to find someone who genuinely shows up. You notice the small things, the way they remember details you didn't think mattered, the way they check on you when you've had a difficult day, the way they celebrate your joys without jealousy, and the way they sit with you in silence when you don't have the energy to talk. These consistent acts of presence are what slowly transform friendship into partnership. It isn't one dramatic moment that creates the shift. It's the accumulation of everyday gestures that show intention, sincerity, and care. Friendship sets the tone for healthy partnership because it teaches both people how to communicate openly. You learn to talk about your concerns without fear of being misunderstood. You learn to disagree respectfully because you value the connection more than the desire to win an argument. You learn to listen, not just to respond, but to understand. These skills come naturally in friendship, and they become essential once the relationship deepens into partnership. When friendship evolves into something more meaningful, both individuals begin to see each other in a different light. You start to appreciate the qualities that make them reliable, thoughtful, and emotionally supportive. You recognize their character, not just their charm. You see their strengths, but you also become aware of their vulnerabilities. And instead of pulling away, You lean in with compassion. Friendship gives you the patience to learn their heart, and partnership gives you the commitment to protect it. This transformation is gentle rather than abrupt. It often happens without either person realizing exactly when the shift occurred. One day you simply notice that the person you laugh with, confide in, and rely on has quietly become someone you cannot imagine your life without. The connection feels deeper, the conversations feel more meaningful, and the bond feels more intentional. The love that emerges from friendship is grounded, steady, and real because it is built on understanding rather than illusion. In partnership born from friendship, the relationship has resilience. Both people know how to navigate challenges because they already have a foundation of trust. They have experienced conflict in a way that strengthened rather than damaged the connection. They have grown together, supported each other, and formed a bond that isn't dependent on surface-level attraction. This type of love feels safe without feeling stagnant, exciting without feeling unstable, and comforting without feeling predictable. Friendship grows into partnership when two people choose each other, not just romantically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It becomes a connection rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and genuine affection. The love that rises from true friendship lasts because it is built on authenticity, patience, and a deep understanding of one another. When friendship becomes partnership, love becomes something not just felt but lived, nurtured, and cherished every single day. Love thrives through daily choices because real connection is sustained not by grand gestures, but by the consistent decisions two people make every single day. Love isn't something that survives on its own. It requires intention, effort, and awareness. Every morning you wake up and choose how you will show up for the person you care about. You decide whether you will communicate with honesty, whether you will be patient when emotions rise, whether you will listen rather than react, and whether you will nurture the bond with kindness instead of taking it for granted. These choices, repeated quietly and steadily, are what keep love alive. Love grows when two people choose to prioritize each other in a world full of distractions. It means choosing to put down your phone and look into your partner's eyes. It means choosing to have the difficult conversations instead of avoiding them. It means choosing to respect feelings even when you don't fully understand them. Love thrives because two people commit themselves to understanding each other's emotional worlds, supporting each other's dreams, and creating peace rather than chaos. These actions may seem small in the moment, but they shape the entire atmosphere of the relationship. Daily choices deepen connection. When you choose to ask, "How was your day?" and genuinely listen to the answer, you create emotional intimacy. When you choose to apologize instead of defending your pride, you strengthen trust. When you choose forgiveness over resentment, you create space for growth. When you choose to express appreciation, even for simple things, you remind your partner that they matter. Love is built in these consistent expressions of care, not in occasional bursts of affection. The heart feels safest when it knows it can count on someone, not only in the exciting times, but in the ordinary moments. Love also flourishes when both people choose loyalty, not just physical loyalty, but emotional loyalty. It means choosing your partner in conversations, choosing them in decisions, choosing them in moments where temptation to disconnect or disregard would be easier. Loyalty is shown in your tone, your patience, your willingness to stay present. When you stand by each other in stressful times, when you offer comfort rather than criticism, you reinforce the foundation of the relationship. This stability gives love room to grow without fear. Daily choices also include choosing individuality. When you choose to support your partner's personal goals, their passions, and their growth, you create a partnership that expands rather than restricts. You show them that love is not about ownership, but about encouragement. In return, they choose to support your growth as well. This mutual support transforms the relationship into a place where both people feel inspired, not limited. Most importantly, love thrives when you choose to keep showing up even when emotions fluctuate, when life becomes overwhelming, or when misunderstandings occur. It is the choice to stay engaged, to reach out, to reassure, to rebuild when necessary. Love isn't perfect, and it doesn't have to be. What matters is the commitment to choose each other again and again. Love thrives through daily choices because those choices define the strength, depth, and longevity of the connection. When love is nurtured consistently, it becomes resilient, fulfilling, and profoundly meaningful. Companionship rebuilds confidence because having someone who truly stands beside you reminds you of your own strength, value, and importance in ways that solitude alone cannot always provide. When life has shaken your sense of self, through heartbreak, loss, disappointment, or emotional exhaustion, your confidence often becomes fragile. You may begin doubting your worth, your ability to trust, or your capacity to be loved again. But the presence of a supportive companion slowly restores what pain once dimmed. It is not their responsibility to fix you. Rather, it is their steady presence that reminds you that you are not walking through life alone. When companionship enters your life, especially after a difficult chapter, it brings back the feeling of being understood. Having someone who listens without judging, who pays attention to your thoughts, and who respects your emotions creates a sense of emotional safety. That safety becomes a foundation on which confidence begins to grow. You start to express yourself more freely. You allow yourself to be seen, not just in your strengths but in your vulnerabilities. And when the person beside you responds with understanding instead of criticism, your belief in yourself slowly strengthens. Companionship also reminds you of your own value through small, everyday moments. When someone checks on you, encourages your goals, appreciates your efforts, or notices the things you do well, it shifts the way you see yourself. You begin to realize that your presence matters. You feel supported, valued, and recognized. These consistent reminders rebuild confidence not as a sudden burst, but as a gradual rise. You start relying less on internal fears and more on shared trust. Being with someone who believes in you helps you reclaim belief in yourself. Companionship fuels courage. It encourages you to take steps you may have once avoided. Pursuing dreams, expressing your true feelings, setting healthy boundaries, or making decisions with clarity rather than fear. When someone stands with you through your uncertainties, it teaches you that you are capable even when you doubt yourself. Confidence grows naturally when you have someone who sees your potential even on days you cannot. Companionship also rebuilds confidence because it offers acceptance, genuine acceptance of who you are. When a person chooses to stay during your emotional highs and lows, when they embrace your flaws without using them against you, when they remind you that you are enough, it heals fragments of insecurity you didn't realize still lingered. You begin to trust your own worth again. You stop measuring your value by past failures or painful memories. Instead, you begin to see yourself through the eyes of someone who respects you deeply. And companionship isn't only about emotional support, it's about shared experiences that bring joy back into your life. Laughter, conversations, small adventures, peaceful moments. These experiences revive parts of you that grief or heartbreak had silenced. Joy becomes a reminder that you deserve good things. This return to joy strengthens your self-belief and lifts the weight that once dimmed your spirit. Most importantly, companionship rebuilds confidence by teaching you that connection is still safe, love is still possible, and your heart can still trust. The right person doesn't replace your strength, they help you rediscover it. Through their consistency, loyalty, and understanding, they help you step back into yourself with greater clarity and courage. Companionship becomes the gentle force that reminds you that you are worthy of love, worthy of trust, and worthy of being chosen. And when you feel worthy again, confidence returns, not as something borrowed from another person, but as something awakened within you. Finding love after loss is not a journey of replacing what was lost, but rediscovering the parts of yourself that pain once dimmed. Healing teaches you to breathe again. Pain reshapes your strength. Vulnerability reconnects you to honesty. Friendship evolves into a foundation of loyalty. Love grows through the choices you make every day. And companionship rebuilds the confidence you thought was gone forever. Each step brings you closer to a version of love that is deeper, wiser, and more intentional than anything you have known before. This journey is not about rushing into something new. It is about allowing yourself to rise. When you open your heart again, not out of need but out of readiness, you give love the space to find you in its most genuine form. The loss you endured becomes a chapter, not the ending. And the love that enters your life after that chapter becomes a testament to your resilience. You are not defined by who left or what broke. You are defined by how you choose to grow, how you choose to love, and how you choose to hope again. The next connection that comes your way will not fear your scars. It will honor them. It will meet you with patience, loyalty, and clarity. It will feel like a beginning you were always meant to reach. Because love after loss isn't just possible. It often becomes the most beautiful, grounded, and transformative love of your life. You deserve that love, and you are strong enough to receive it. Let your heart rise again.